All right, we are back for another edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. This one kind of back to the normal grind, although we did have some pretty long shows after the Super Dirt Week, Northern Sprint Car Nationals. I'm looking too far ahead, not looking back. Northern Sprint Car Nationals review show and the preview show. Thanks for everybody who interacted with that and tuned into that. Back to episode 68, presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Travis, who you got for 68?
Oh, there's a lot of people, and it kind of ties into one main guy. Ray McIver was the number 68, and he ran Sportsman and some stuff back in the day. And then lots of people have driven for him, pretty sure like the Friesens, like Alex Friesen and Joel Friesen and David DePetro runs that number because of Ray McIver. And he was just a real big deal in the Western New York and Southern Ontario dirt scene back in the day, and pavement scene as well. Like he sold tires at Spencer, I know that for sure. And he was tied into BRP USA somehow as well, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, he was just a real cool deal. Chuck Hosfeld at Merrittville won the first ever 602 motor win for Merrittville, like a first ever crate motor win at Merrittville was done by Ray McIver's car in the 68 with Chuck Hosfeld driving it, who's a pavement modified tour driver, FYI. And I think I tied everybody in there with 68.
Yeah, I think you got everybody.
That I'm thinking of.
I didn't hear you say.
And Curtis
I was
runs
going to
it
say
now,
Curtis
obviously.
was who I was going to pick, and Dirty Dave was going to be
Curtis Friesen.
Those are going to be my two
Yeah.
suggestions for the number 68, of course. So, yeah, good history lesson there. I like that. That was good. We should probably fire things off with the event that happened this past weekend, kind of somewhat locally. Brighton, of course, with Apple's Eve and Applefest. So let's start with the mini socks, because this was a duel on the dirt event up there, and it was won by Carter Rhodes over Caleb Severin, Jason Tolton, Cole Abrams, and Ryan Hiller. Ohsweken regular finished fifth. A couple of our local guys around Merrittville and Humberstone. Alex Riley sixth, John Lubeck seventh. Cole Hardy was 12th, one of the other notables from down our way.
Yep. Ashton Dickey was the next day, maybe. Yeah. He went down there too.
Mm-hmm. He had a good run the next night.
Applefest. Everyone, they're tired of racing, but then everyone, like, you get 1 week off and then you want to race again. And everyone goes to Brighton. That's a wicked weekend.
Yep. Let's jump into the Thunderstocks. Brock Gregory got the win over Tyler French, Justin Ramsey, Josh Black, and Jim Lampman. So good run for Jim Lampman in the 28. But no surprise, the local guys really have Brighton figured out for sure.
Yep, that was a Peacemaker 420 car. Pretty sure Todd Gordon built car. And they win a lot up there. Mario Baptiste owned, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And so, from my understanding, the main kind of feature focus of the night was, of course, the sportsmen, as the Canadian modifieds, the 358s, and I believe the late models all ran Dash for Cash races on the Friday night. But the sportsman guys, Cody McPherson gets the big win, invading up that way over Bobby Harrington. William Racine, Jordan Costco with a great run on fourth, and Xavier Andrews rounds out your top five in that one. So a couple of our guys showing up in a big way down there.
Definitely shout out to Jordan Costco for the top five on the Friday night. And then did you see the picture posted? I put it in the group chat for the BRP series where the crew was looking fine walking in the next day, dropping an album cover. But
yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a pretty stout top five right there too. But that picture was great.
It was good to see. It was great to see the 17C follow it up to, obviously their big moment of the year was really the win in the Pete Costco Memorial at Humberstone. But to go on the road and get a top five, that means a lot to that team. And by all accounts, they enjoyed that one.
They were strutting.
Definitely. That photo you're speaking of too, it's been floating around on social media. It's they're all hanging pretty good in that picture, from what I hear. They had a good night the night before.
People drinking at Applefest?
No. Tommy Bailey gets the win. Let's speaking of Applefest, go to the main show the Saturday night. Tommy Bailey gets the win over Carter Rhodes, Terry McCullen, Travis LaMarche, and Aiden Fletcher, your top five in the four cylinders on that night. Um, I'm just going in order of what's on the site. Conan
Perfect.
McPherson gets the win on the second night, so he sweeps Apples Eve and Apples Fest, winning it over Brennan Moore, Gabriel Sire,
Shocker.
Bobby Harrington, and Shane Stearns as well. Our boy Jordan Costco, 17C in eighth on the Saturday.
One top 5, double top 10. Not bad. Not bad. There's a ton of cars there at this weekend. Like, this weekend's no joke. Like, I know there was over 30 modifieds for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm sure there's at least as that many sportsmen.
Yeah, there was a B main
Or
involved for
full
sure.
field
So
anyway. B main for both fields. So, like, that's a serious race up there. They started it back in 05, and it's coming a big weekend it's always been a big weekend for mods and
yeah.
sportsmen.
We've got I've got the Canadian modifieds, those UMPs. Ron Wadforth gets the win over Leslie Mowat, former guest of the show. Joe Barrasso, Wally Aldris, and Doug O'Blennis rounds out your top 5 in the Canadian mods on the Saturday night. Let's go to the late models where Charlie Sandercock, no surprise, picks up the win over Ryan Lambert, Kyle Sopaz,
Also a guest of the
Nate
show.
Rinaldi, and Brad Rayner. Yes, you are correct. Charlie Sandercock, former guest of the show.
Oh, there's a couple others. Yeah.
I should also point out,
Need
I
to get
think
some
he's
of
my
those guys
dad's
on.
favorite driver.
Really?
Yeah, every time I see my
was-
dad and we start talking about racing, he asks me how that 57 car did because he was there at Maryville the night that
Yeah.
I think he ended
I
up
met him
winning
that
that
night.
race where he spun out and then drove all the way back to the
He,
field, or at least he came back for a top 5 or something.
second.
Second, that's
Ryan
right.
McDonald won, but he came back
Yeah,
second.
my dad was pretty impressed by that drive, so he always asked me, how is that 57 car doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't see him a
Well, just
lot,
come out to
Dad."
Humberstone this weekend.
Yeah, see,
Teach him Charlie Sandercock. See?
he'll be there this weekend, so I'll get to talk to him about it. Let's go to the Duel on the Dirt event for the Thunderstocks, which was won by another former guest of the show, Jason Fontaine. Gets the win over Pete Reed, Justin Ramsey, Tyler French, and Jeff Humphrey, I should say. So that's
3 former
2
guests on the
guys.
show. Man, we just got
We
everybody.
really do.
3. Ramsey 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say top 3 have
And
all been
Reed.
on the show, but 2 guys from kind of our down our way who showed up in a big way for the Duel on the Dirt. So that was cool to see.
Well, the Fonz was fast on Friday as well, and I think he had a flat tire or something happened.
Mhm.
I forget what, but yeah, so Fonz was fast both nights, and then one Saturday, and then Pete Reed as well. 2 local guys, 1-2.
Yeah,
And then the Ramsey.
kind of surprising. Dave Bailey didn't have a great run, and neither did Ryan Beagle. They finished 13th and 14th. So, again, you wouldn't expect that out of them, but either way, that's they'll have to rebound from that one. And I guess let's go to the modifieds here. 358s were won by Chris Raby over Eric Rudolph, Gary Lindbergh, Kyle Dingwall, and Jonathan Ferguson. Your top 5 there. Brad Rouse in 6th, Dalton Slack 9th, and Jay Mallory 10th for a couple of our local guys rounding out the top 10.
Give us the whole top 10. Don't skip the other 2.
Okay,
guys.
well, if you want the full top 10, where did I say here? Corey Wheeler, 7th, Tristan Draper, 8th.
See?
Yeah.
Stacked field.
It was a stack field. I'm looking down. Luke Carlton was
Gordon
there.
was there. Like
Trevor Wright was there. Lee Ladisseur was in a modified that night.
He runs modified a lot too. He runs Cornwall and Brockville.
Ken Winfield made the trip from down this way, so it was a stacked field of 30 cars for sure. And once again, though,
if you've never been, I suggest going.
Yes, I don't know how everything's falling with my wedding next year, but Applefest is on the calendar tentatively to maybe try to get to that.
It'll be there every year, so pick your year.
True. So that kind of wraps up things in terms of local stuff that just happened. We should touch on the world of the big blocks in the Super Dirt Car Series because a return to form once again for Stewart Friesen.
Yeah, Stewie definitely been awesome to watch him come back and looking like Stewie of old in the modified. So he won the 53,000 last week in the Fonda 200. Which this week I watched a video on Fonda. It would be fun to mention this last week. How like the Fonda 200 started out as like a NASCAR race, and like Junior Johnson and Richard Petty have won that race. So that's pretty cool. So Stewie won it last week, and then he won Albany Saratoga this week, looking like Stewie of old, like I said. And yeah, does he keep doing the trucks, or does he come back and do modified? Which one's more profitable if he can get into modified mode and start winning 30 races a year again like he used to.
Well, I think a big portion of it comes down to how he does at Super Dirt Week because with the win, he does lock himself into the Billy Whitaker Cars 200 at Super Dirt Week 51. So that's kind of my question to you. I feel like a return to full-time dirt, it's on the horizon, and it's not that I don't. It's not that I want to see it, and there's pluses and minuses. I love seeing Stewie out there in the trucks, but I
Me
really
too.
wasn't around to watch him dominate the dirt world. Like, obviously, when he shows up to Ohsweken in a sprint
You're
car
gonna
and
be.
he hasn't ran in a sprint car like all year or whatever it's been, he jumps in and has a great run against Mike Bowman. That's entertaining. That's great to watch. But it's not the same as watching Stewie do it all year long, And we've seen how hard it's been for Matt Williamson to even keep pace with Matt Shepard this year. What if Stewie coming back full time to the Super Dirt Car Series is exactly what that series needs to shake things up at the top and make it a 3-car battle at the front, which might in turn make things tighter and kind of keep Shepard at bay from just running away with the title.
Yeah. Fun fact about Stewie. He's won everything there is to win in modified racing. Won the mile 4 times, won Oswego Dirt Week, so for a total of 5 Dirt Week wins. So many other wins. One Port Royal, one Fonda 200, one's all the big money races there is. Eastern States. The one thing he hasn't done in his modified career because of his other obligations, and it's never worked out because of the trucks, he has never won a Super Dirt Car Series title. That is the one thing that Stewart Friesen has never got. And I'm sure he wants to come and get that eventually. For sure, you would think.
Mm-hmm. I think it's got to be on the radar for him. I don't know if it's
And
on the radar for 2024, but it's got to be. He's got to be thinking about it.
eventually, yeah. And like the one thing that led us to this whole conversation was like how Kurt Busch's truck team is folding its
Kyle
doors. And
Busch.
like if anything wants to show you how Kyle Busch, obviously. Kyle Busch closing doors on the truck series team. And if you want to like any pointer to think that maybe the truck series isn't as profitable as it used to be, maybe Kyle Busch getting out of it might be a good indicator that the truck series, unless you got full-time driver paying the bills and stuff like that, maybe it's not the place to be at the moment.
No, it's. I think the lower divisions of NASCAR are going to be in flux, especially with the incoming TV deals. I think those are going to be a big thing. I think the charter deal. There's so many ifs, ands, and buts in the world of NASCAR, but Stewie knows the world of dirt racing better than anybody. If he wants to come back to it and give his 110% to chasing a Super Dirt Car Series title, he's going to have the facilities. He's going to find the funding. He's going to be able to put anything he needs to together to go and do that. So it's exciting. It sure seems
Gonna
like
happen
he
eventually.
really has caught another wave. He's found another gear, so to speak, in the world of modified racing right now. I don't know if
Love to
2024
see
is the
it.
year, but I'm excited to see this run. And
I could see him winning Dirt Week.
I,
He's
he's
hot.
hot. He's hot.
Stewie, when he gets on a heater, he starts winning.
Is that what Super Dirt Week is all about in the past? Is it about momentum? Do you want to be hot going into it, or can you catch
Sometimes
fire just in that 1 week?
Syracuse was a lot more like fuel mileage, making sure you're gonna last for fuel for a lot of years and stuff like that. But now that that's Oswego, it can be more of like a heater thing. Like Matt Shepard, that was him last year. He won all the races last year and brought home almost $1 million and modified $750,000 was his total winnings between everything last year. And yeah, all this stemmed off of the Albany Saratoga stuff. And Matt Williamson did gain a couple points on Matt Shepard because Shepard got a flat at the end of the race. Matt got it early. Our Matt got it early in the race, and he got back to 8th. And Shepard was 17th or something, and he gained like 17 points.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
So
Fulton 200 this week, not dirt. That's like a 20,000 to win 200 at Fulton. This year it's 358s only.
mm-hmm.
So expect 358s. I think it was like that last year. In years past, it's been big block and been like a whole bunch of different engine combos for a few years. But this year's 358s only. So that's the tune up for Dirt Week. But yeah, and then leads into Dirt Week next week. Double points.
So with that said, Williamson trails Shepard 80 points right now going into this week. Tim Sears Jr. is third in points, Jimmy Phelps fourth, Mike Mahaney fifth. Those drivers are all separated by about 20 some odd points. They're 25 points. Rough math, just looking at it. So it's a close battle inside the top five, and it's relatively close at the top. Matt Williamson still has a chance to bring it home back north of the border, but we'll have to see what Super Dirt Week brings us. If you want more info on
Who needs
Super
some
Dirt
luck?
Week, you can find it at superdirtweek.com. They have a full schedule of events, how things are going, when things kick off, what races are when, and it's a pretty useful guide for fan viewing, whether you be at the racetrack or you are at home as well. So something that you
And
wanted to
then
talk about involving Matt Shepard.
one last thing about Albany
Okay, go for it.
Saratoga. Matt Williamson won the 358 race on Friday night, and there was like 60 cars there. Huge race. So I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget that Matt won 358 Friday.
Good point. Good point. Something that you wanted
Now,
to talk about involving a Super Dirt Car Series driver named Matt, but not Williamson, is the whole
mhm.
outlaw Shepard T-shirt hauler situation. So why don't you break this one down for us, and then I think I've got a take on this if I understand it.
So basically, so like if you want the whole juicy drama, like Matt Shepard's girlfriend used to be Tyler Seary, owner of Outlaw Speedway's girlfriend. So that's kind of what starts it a little bit, if you ask me. And then yeah, so they called Shepard and told him not to bring your merchandise trailer, which isn't completely unforeseen. And then like there's been chat on the internet about like it's common courtesy to call and ask if you have a merchandise trailer to bring it. Like don't just wheel it up and park it. Like you're clearly gonna. Like Brett Deo on Short Track Super Series says he's obviously going to say yes. He thinks it adds to the big event atmosphere and stuff like that. But he appreciates a call first, so that's just common courtesy. But they called them, said you can't bring it. Outlaws say like local teams can't sell your merch there. Like the World of Outlaws sprints do that for sure. So that's like a big deal on them. That's like they're like the ones that do that, only ones that do that. So that I can think of. But yeah, Outlaw did that to Shepard last week. So I don't know if they let other drivers do it. If they did, that's straight up bad. But yeah,
So here's my take
that
on
was
it.
the T-shirt drama.
Well, as some people may know or may not know, in my other life,
Matt Shepard, before you
yep.
go, Matt Shepard also won the feature that night, and then they like delayed feature lane or victory lane interviews till the end of the night. So they kept his big check. He didn't get an interview, but he did get paid $72,000 or $7,200. So now into the T-shirt from Johnny.
So here's my take on the whole T-shirt drama. Obviously, there's some backstory to it. Obviously, this seems a little bit more than just, a little bit just more than like money or something like that. This obviously seems a little bit personal. For those who might not know my other life, I work in rock radio, and I also have I was a musician for a long time and still kind of play in bands here and there, and really wanted to go down that rock and roll path. So I keep an eye on the world of music a lot through my other side of my job in my life. And there just recently was this whole thing about Live Nation, the big concert promoter who has all on all of our tickets anytime we go to any big concert. Um, they are starting to, I think for 90 days, they're going to give bands an extra $1,500 for traveling, for fuel when they're on the road. If they're on a tour that's going to Live Nation venues, they're going to stop taking a percentage of t-shirt and merchandise sales, because that's something that, when you go to a concert and you buy a t-shirt, everyone wonders why it's so expensive. Well, it's so expensive because usually the venue that you're at is actually taking 20%, 15%, sometimes as high as 25, 30% of whatever the band makes in merchandise sales. So, and it's so funny that my take is this, because in the world of music, we've all been kind of fighting like, why are these venues getting a portion of our t-shirt sales when most bands, especially the smaller ones, they're the ones selling the t-shirt. They usually have a designated merch person, or one of the band members comes up from after playing their set back to the merch table and is selling you their shirt at this tiny club that's owned by Live Nation or whatever mega corporation. My thing is, I kind of almost want to flip it the other way in the dirt world and say, why don't some of these racetracks partner with drivers and be like, hey, we'll take your t-shirts and we'll sell them out of our trailers, but we're going to make $5 off every t-shirt you make. So now instead of, the fan going directly after the races,
Maybe 10%.
yeah, let's say it's,
That's a little less than
yeah,
$5, but still,
just to make it a round number, we'll say it's $5. So,
yeah.
if you go to your favorite driver's trailer at the end of the night and try to buy a shirt off of them in the pits, usually it's like $25, and they're making a little bit more money than what they paid for them, kind of thing. So let's say you mark it up $5 more as the track. Now the driver gets their share still. They don't have to worry about handling cash or any of that. They just get paid out at the end of the night. And the track makes a little bit of money. And because that's the one thing that I noticed, not everybody wants a track T-shirt. They sometimes just want their favorite driver T-shirt. So why not? They come together and sell it where the majority of the fans are, on the other side of the racetrack. I know what I just said, and I know as a musician, I'm rallying, saying, "Hey, the little guy needs to make all their money." But I think in the dirt world, I think it could kind of
It's
go
a
the other
double-edged
way.
sword.
I think it could. I think it could make sense.
Yeah. Or like the Central Pennsylvania sprint car scene, like there's like T-shirt Alley where they all, I don't know if they pay to do it, and like if you come up with a fair sum where like they all set up on the fence
Yeah.
and sell T-shirts that way. I'm sure they get paid a little bit.
I just think there's a
But
way to come
yeah,
together,
there's that
because
style too.
I feel like at the end of every racing season, it's like tracks have way too much merchandise left over. Some of the drivers still have merchandise left over. Maybe if you just order a little bit of less, but then work together to sell it all, it could be more profitable. I just wonder if there's a partnership to be made there. And in a way that's more fair and equitable than maybe what we're seeing in the world of music and bands and touring and stuff like that. It's just interesting to me. I think that could work.
I like it. Brought both your worlds together.
I know.
In a little combo.
Yeah. So you can weigh in. Let us know. Southern Ontario Dirt Show Podcast at gmail.com if you want to send us an email. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter at SODS_pod. Let us know. Maybe there's something to be learned here for the dirt world, for drivers, teams, and tracks to work together on merch sales and actually make a little bit more money for everybody involved. With all that covered, we should talk about the last driver I bought a t-shirt from, admittedly, because I thought it was a sick looking t-shirt. Mike Bowman is legal and is your champion of the Northern Sprint Car Nationals.
Yep. I had a listener and former race car hot shoe, and could still be a current race car hot shoe. I'm not going to name his name, but he messaged me on Facebook yesterday it was, while I was at darts, and we had a little conversation about this, and he just wanted me to say that Mike Bowman's mark safe from Alex Hill traction control accusations.
I mean, it's true. The accusations were wrong. In fact,
It's true.
It was not true.
And like my take was, I called this like that. It clearly wasn't traction control. Find something else to complain about. Mm-hmm. I knew it wasn't that. Yeah. Like I knew they weren't going to find that 1,000%. And ta-da, here we are.
Yeah. And Mike Bowman is the champ, rightfully so. I really want to take a moment, and like obviously they're the sponsor, so it kind of seems like I'm kissing up. But after some of the things that we've experienced this year in the world of dirt racing, I really want to commend Ohsweken Speedway for how they handled this situation. The transparency to all of us in the media, in the fans. You go to their social media, you were totally in the loop about how everything was going to play out along this whole process. And that even includes, if you want like a full breakdown, if you don't want to, read about all this stuff on their press releases, go to the Race Rivals chat on GeForce. The first 10 minutes of the show or so are dedicated to explaining the whole Bowman situation, what Clinton and the folks from Ohsweken had to do to send the materials away to be tested. It's I really want to applaud them for getting this one right, doing it well. And I really want to applaud the 71 bunch on an amazing rookie 360 sprint car season. I was writing about that for Inside Track today. We're finishing up a piece for them. And it's still crazy to me to talk about this last month and what Bowman and the 71 group have accomplished.
Case closed.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's that indeed. You're going to be able to see that 71 bunch, except not in a 360 car. Going to be just the crates, as they are pursuing a Action Sprint Tour Championship. this weekend at Humberstone Speedway. So if you're in the Niagara region, if you're in Southern Ontario and you feel like traveling down, you got 2 nights. Camping is free. Come and hang out. Come and check out the Fall Classic. You're racing Friday night and Saturday, or just Friday? What are you doing?
360s both nights, unless something super bad happens Friday. But I don't plan on that. I plan on the track being way slicker than it was the first time we were there this year, and more up TC's alley. We stunk there earlier in the year. Usually good there. So I told myself earlier in the like before the Nationals I wasn't going to go there, but then I had a good run at the Nationals and didn't end the way I wanted. So now I'm going to go there because I got a feeling, or I got a good feel in the car. And it might not work at Humberstone, but I'm going to try the exact same thing I felt at Ohsweken because I found on the practice night on the Thursday, and I was pretty quick that night, and that's pretty much the setup I used on the Saturday night there when I wanted to be main, except for tightening it up just a little bit. So I'm going to try that at Humby, and then if it doesn't work and I'm coming from the back or something, I'm just going to try stuff.
Yeah, sounds great.
And get paid for a test session. And Pete Turford said there's going to be full field of cars, 20 to 24, 360s in SOS both nights 3,000 to win. So let's go.
Can't wait for that.
Fall Classic presented by GSR.
Yes, that's going to be a great time. That is I believe Sportsman have been added to the Friday night. I believe that makes Sportsman both nights, if I'm not mistaken.
I got to bust Terry on this one. Sorry, bud, but like you should have had the Sportsman on both nights to start with. Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry, Terry.
Of course, the kind of main, I know you guys are there with the Southern Ontario sprints, but the main focus should be on the Action Sprint Tour presented by Pinty's. Going into the final 2 events of the National Tour, $5,000 on the line for the championship, if I'm not mistaken. 951 points is where the leader, Matt Billings, sits at. He has the lead over Lee Ladouceur by 17 points, and Mike Bowman by, quick math here, says 25 points going into the final 2 events. So both Bowman and Lee Ladouceur are going to need a little bit of help. Billings just kind of needs to take care of business and be consistent like he's been all season long, and he should be able to get it done. And we'll have the chance to ask him about it because he is our guest on this week's show coming up. And that is, let's get to that now, Travis. Let's go to the Action Sprint Tour driver, points leader heading into Humberstone. Matt Billings is going to join the show now on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunderstocks, and mini-stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak, with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANA CURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.bicknellracingproducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing. And joining us now on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, we've got Matt Billings, who's got one heck of a weekend ahead of him to close out the Action Sprint Tour National Series. But there's a lot more than just crate sprint racing that we want to talk to this guy about. So first and foremost, Matt, how you doing? Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys. And yeah, looking forward to this weekend and yeah, just having a little chat about racing. I can't complain about that.
So heading to Humberstone this weekend, how are you feeling? How would you rate the crate season overall for you? Because it's obviously going well on the Action Sprint Tour as you were in position to close out a title with at least 2 races to go still. So you got some work ahead of you, but you got to be feeling confident.
I'm feeling really good about the crate season. I mean, we've been running really well all across the province. Pretty much every time we're on load, we're quick and in contention. And then yeah, we just kind of hit on something in August, and haven't really looked back. So just really looking forward to this weekend. We got 2 shows left to go, and not trying to get too high, not trying to get too low. Just stay steady about it and hope for the best. And I mean, we're just gonna put our best foot forward and try our best. But I definitely think we got a good car and a good opportunity to win this thing.
So talk about a couple Saturdays ago now when you were able to beat Mike Bowman in the crate feature, and then he went out and won 30 grand in the 360s. But you were able to beat him in the crate feature that night. Talk us through that night.
Well, I mean, that was just, I mean, you're beating Mike Bowman, and I mean, Mike Bowman's been, he's been the guy kind of to beat. Like, he's just been really tough this year, and we were able to do it on equal footing, equal equipment. And, we were able to get it done in a 2-lap shootout, green white checker. I know we started deeper in the field, and a couple cautions helped him, but I mean, we had a caution with 2 to go, and we lined up first, second, and I mean, he threw everything he had at it to try to get by us. But I mean, like I said, we've been working really hard on the car, and just I think he spanked us all back in the August race, and after that, I didn't like that, and neither did Ryan. So we just been working on it, and I just knew on that last restart there a couple Saturdays ago that I had to hit my marks and just try to run a clean lap. And I mean, I knew I had the car to do it. It's just I gotta have to get up on the wheel and drive the thing.
And looking over the Action Sprint Tour national points heading into the final 2 events this coming weekend at Humberstone Speedway, you got the lead over Lila Desur, and Mike Bowman is sitting there in third. 17 points, if my math's correct here. Not the craziest lead, but enough to be comfortable. So do you think you can close it out? How comfortable do you feel with Humberstone as a racetrack?
Well, out of all the tracks on the tour, Humberstone's the one that I don't have hardly any laps around. I have one crate sprint car feature there, and I have a 360 sprint car feature there. So I don't have any laps hardly. So I don't know if that's necessarily bad or if it's necessarily good. It's just it's kind of, I don't have any bad habits of the place. I just got to go there and try to run clean and try to run fast. And ideally, the big thing about these the crate sprint cars are being up front and having clean air. So as long as we can, number one goal every night is to try to get into that redraw, and that top 8 redraw is how our series works. And if we can do that, I mean, that's half the battle. And then just try to run clean and consistent and try to be up front. I mean, it is what it is. Like, I definitely feel confident in our cars, and I feel confident in my ability. So I think given the right circumstances, we can definitely do well.
All right, so now I want you to talk about your car owner and what it's like. Like, are you? Yeah, you're his first driver, right? Like when he stepped out of the car, he hired you right away.
Yeah, so I run for Ryan Hunsinger, and Ryan and I have been. I think we've been working really well together. We have a very similar um, view and thought process when it comes to racing, and I think after talking to him and learning who Ryan is, like I think we have somewhat similar background stories and have had similar experiences in racing, so we can definitely relate to each other, and we can relate on the situations that we're in. But Ryan is, I can't thank Ryan enough for giving me an opportunity and believing in me to allow me to go racing. Um, I met up with Ryan in the summer of 2020, and we just, I introduced myself, and that was that, and told him that big sprint car fan, and I I remember watching the Gunslinger as when I was younger, and just thought it was really
Yeah.
cool that he was racing a crate sprint car at Brockville Speedway. And later that year, he called and asked if I wanted to run a race at Brockville, and basically we haven't looked back since then. So now we're coming on and completing our third year racing together, and I'm just I'm just loving it, and very thankful and very happy to be a part of it.
And I kind of,
Yeah, Hunsinger's a racer for sure.
yeah, he really is.
True form.
And it's
Yeah.
kind of funny how, racing careers can shake out because, you turn the clock back to when you were 16 years old. You put together one of the most impressive runs in Super Dirt Week history. I mean, it earned you a spot amongst the 50 greatest drivers of Super Dirt Week history. So, talk to us about coming to the Moody Mile at 16 years old with your dad, this small racing operation, and how you kind of really put your name on the map back then.
I can't to like it's hard to answer some of that stuff because, to be honest, I didn't know anything or any like what I was doing or anything about that. I just we were just I think it was I know, so remember back correctly, we were just kind of shooting the shit like the weekend before, like, hey, what if we went to Syracuse, what if we did this? And on Tuesday, Dad come home from work, and I was still in high school at that point. He just said, hey, do you want to go Super Dirt Week? Just we'll just play hooky the rest of the week. And that's what we did, and we ended up going down there. And I mean, we didn't have anything super special, just what we basically were running all year. We kind of put in what we had been running at Can-Am Speedway, which is a big half mile. And I mean, we just went out there, and I don't know, I put it on the pole, and then we went and led every lap in the 30 lap race. I really can't um, comment on doing anything special or having a certain mindset towards it. It's just me and my dad. We just went out racing, and we didn't know
I
no
was
better.
there. And I knew who you were before that because you were a 16-year-old kid in sports. I mean, I was running mods back then. But like, that's when I was like, dang, this kid is for real. But like, I remember like you were just a 16-year-old kid that wasn't scared to drive a wide open through 1 and 2. And I couldn't really see 3 and 4 from the grandstands. But like, I knew like when you were going by, you weren't lifting until at least the center of the corner, if at all.
If I like I said, if I can remember right, I definitely don't think I would lift it. I just said this is what we got, so let's go for it. But I mean, yeah, the whole year, that 2009 Sportsman year, I mean, we had a really good year. I mean, we won a lot of races, and like I said, the whole year I shouldn't say that we didn't not know what we were doing, but I mean, we were just racing. We were just going to the racetrack. It was my dad, me, my grandparents. I mean, we were just going racing. We were having fun, and all of a sudden we started winning, and we just kept doing well, And I think, yeah, it was definitely a good year.
Yeah, and then that led to Super Dirt Car Series stuff too, right?
Yeah, and then it definitely turned. We definitely started going down more of a competitive modified path with the racing. I ended up going up to 358 racing for a couple of years and did fairly well right out the gate, winning some races and being competitive in some big races. Definitely a learning curve going up to a 358. When I was when at that point I was 17, so definitely younger, but definitely some hard knocks, definitely some hard lessons, definitely growing up in a hurry, a lot of that. Um, but yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to get the opportunity to do that stuff and try to do a good job and try to be competitive doing it. I mean, that's at that point in my life, that's all I really ever thought about or ever really wanted to do. So I mean, I was having the time of my life.
So, was the Sportsman where your kind of driving career started? Were you any karts beforehand? What was the initial like entry point to racing for you?
Yeah, so really the initial entry point to racing was from my family. Um, my my grandfather and his brothers all raced. My grandfather wasn't much of a racer himself. He was more of a chassis builder and kind of crew chief, I guess. But that's where my family got the big start in racing, and that was back in the mid to late '60s and early part of the '70s at Brockville and Cornwall and Kingston Speedway, Watertown. Um, so I guess that's where my family got to start in racing, and it's all we basically just haven't left the racetrack in the eastern part of the province since then. Um, I always wanted to race as a kid, and I can't remember the exact age, but I basically said to my dad that I wanted to go kart racing, and he said, "Well, if you save up, $1,000, we can go do it." So at that point, I started mowing lawns, and my dad owned an automotive repair shop, so I'd go in and pick up rotors and pick up the rags off the floor, sweep everything, and do everything I could to. I don't think I quite got to $1,000, but I think I got around $700, and we bought a go kart and we went go kart racing, and I think we started in 2004, and I didn't do it very long because I went 2004 to 2007 was all I did for go kart racing, and then 2008 was my first year in sportsman racing. But yeah, I come from a bit of a racing family, and I mean it's got me pretty bad, and I'm loving it. So
Yeah, definitely an awesome racing family, definitely from up in that area. And so, like Super Dirt Car Series, you shared the Rookie of the Year with Matt Williamson, if I'm correct.
yes, yeah, 2013, I got to
Yeah.
share the Rookie of the Year with Matt.
And then, did you ever get a Super Dirt Car Series win?
I did not
What are
get a
your
Super
biggest
Dirt
mod
Car
wins?
Series win. It's the one thing that I just didn't make happen. I came close a couple of times with two second place finishes, but I just didn't get the win. I'd really like one, but I don't know. I
No
think maybe
doubt.
the opportunity might have passed me at that point.
Oh, yeah. Now someone could still give you a ride. Don't be like that.
I think I've been out of it a little too long now.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine. You were still torsion bar guy, right? Like you never ran coils, right?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been out of a modified since 2016 now, so it's
Yeah, for a
definitely
while. Yeah.
definitely haven't been in it in a long time.
So you mentioned that you've been out of the modified. Since then, has it been all sprint cars, and has it been a mix of both crate and 360 over the last couple of years? Talk to us about post modified life.
Yeah, so I got the last year that I ran a modified was 2016. And I ran a small block just locally at Brockville. I went to Mohawk and Cornwall just a couple times, and then I got an opportunity from Mike Stelter out of Rochester, New York, who owns the 36 sprint car. He's been following the ESS tour for a long time and been part of sprint car racing in New York State for basically since it started. And he asked me if I wanted to try his sprint car out. and I jumped at the opportunity because I had always liked sprint car racing. I always thought it was, I just loved it. It just was everything that I thought I'd like to try. So I got the opportunity to do that, and that turned into racing two full years on the ESS tour, and I mean that was really fun, really competitive racing that I really I definitely really enjoyed those 2 years racing with Mike.
I think you won the asphalt race and a race at Mohawk.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Am I right? Ha!
Yes.
I'm good.
He's got his
So I mean,
money down.
I thought that was I was pretty happy that I think the first year we also finished fifth in points, which racing against guys like Jason Barney and Chuck Eving, and at that point Paulie was Cola Giovanni was just coming in and starting to run really well. I mean, Danny Varon was running pretty good. I mean, Jeff Cook. I mean, all the big New York guys, you're running with those guys every weekend. And I mean, I thought, that first year, go out there and run top 5 in points and get a win. I can't complain about that.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So talk to me about Brockville, because it's a racetrack that I got to experience for the first time earlier this summer when the Super Dirt Car Series was up there. This is kind of like a Niagara-based show, so obviously we have a pretty heavy focus on Merrittville, on Humberstone, on Ohsweken even. But going up that way, I kind of really enjoyed the event. I enjoyed the venue. Talk to us a little bit about the bull ring, because that's kind of your home stomping grounds.
Yeah, the tracks it's funny. Like we've just been talking about all the racing that I've done. So I've done a lot of traveling and been into different areas. And sorry, the just the amount of the tracks are different up there. They're a little bit more high banked. The dirt's a little bit tackier. There might be a little bit more grip than what we get down like at Merrittville or Humberstone or Ohsweken on a weekly basis. But the racing's really good, and I mean I'm proud. I'm from that area of the province, but I mean I think we got a really good bunch of guys that know what they're doing and drive and are competitive and can put on a good show. So I think the racing scene is good there. It goes through little waves where we get a good modified car count, and then it kind of goes back down. But for the most part,
Same as here.
it's home to me, and it's right in my backyard. I live in Brockville, so I'm very happy and very proud to have a racetrack in my backyard still that is only 10 minutes up the road from my house.
So that leads me into perfectly talk about how cool it's been to try to grow the crate sprint car at Brockville. Like they stepped up and tried to grow it out that way.
I am very proud to be part of the crate sprint car division, and that's kind of back to when I was talking about Ryan, how me and him both kind of think about racing. I think it's a perfect class. It's for what the class is and what it's providing and what they're doing with it. I think it's a great class for somebody that's looking to get into the sport. For somebody, I guess like myself at the moment, where I'm very content with my life and my racing life. It's a good balance, and I'm okay with that right now. So for somebody that wants to go do something competitively, but maybe doesn't want to go sportsman racing or doesn't want to do like a mod light racing, it is the absolute perfect class to go racing. I know racing's cheap, but it's fairly affordable. The purses are pretty good. It's only 25 lap features. You're not beating up equipment. I see a lot of pluses in the crate sprint car division.
Awesome.
I like it. Well, we'll get you out of here, Matt, on this one before you come down to our way and try to wrap up a National Series championship on the Action Sprint Tour. We have one question we ask everybody before we get out of here, and that question is, you can have one race car, one racetrack to drive at the rest of your life. What's the combination? It can be anything you've driven in the past or something completely complete fantasy that you never had the chance to drive.
I guess. Well, I mean, the mile holds a special part in my heart. So I think that. But I would like to try to take a Silver Crown car around the mile. I think that would have been pretty cool.
I agree. That would have been awesome to see in a Silver Crown car at the mile, because you had a special thing with the mile. That's how I know you the best, watching you at the mile, and you were always fast no matter what.
Yeah, I mean the 358. Yeah, we did really well in the 358 race. The big block race, I always qualified well. I never finished, but yeah, it's definitely a special place.
You're always fast. Yeah. All right. Awesome. My Tammy teammate.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Tammy 10 Media. Yeah. Yes. Me and Hunsinger always say that. Yeah. Tammy 10 teammates.
Yeah, that's Perfect. What Ryan was telling me that.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully that's a good sign for the weekend, and we'll have 2 great runs to celebrate from the Tammy 10 Media teammates at Humberstone this weekend. Matt, good luck the rest of the way. Good luck this weekend. We'll catch up with you in person down in the garage area, but enjoy your rest of your night, and thanks for being a part of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
That's Matt Billings on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show, or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.